Philbug9 here with another episode of Create Above and Beyond. So, today we're going to be getting started on getting some automation going here. Or taking the first steps towards achieving some automation anyways. But first, some of the stuff has changed around here, as you can probably tell from the area over here. I got a little smelter thing set up. Also figured out how to get a huge amount of charcoal. We'll get to that in a second. Little workstation. Cannons over here where it was. Of course, I built out more of this off camera in between episodes. Moved the toolbox over here. I've gotten a little bit more organized, and I've tried to put all of the Create mod stuff in here. All the extra stuff. Some of these, like this, we're going to be using later in the episode. At least I'm hoping we'll get to that. But beyond that, I've moved a bunch of machines over here that were in other locations off that direction, mainly. Last time, I've got this thing here, which is pulling stuff out of the strainer base and putting it in a chest up here. Like the clay and the sand and all of that's ending up in there. I put this stressometer here, which also means that we actually can't hook up anything else to this machine or everything will lock up. So we're going to need to go ahead and make another one of these power things in order to continue on with that. Moved our dough maker over here, and we can turn on or off the water being put in here using this valve as well. And this needed a bit of gearing to make it spin fast enough by itself, but I did get it there. We got a bunch of dough here, moved our frying pan set up there, and of course there's a crafting table there as well. And I also found out that you can use this thing to cut down the giant spruce trees. Got this little compost making thing here, and I also made this out of some of the ores that we're mining. That's a good substitute for bone meal as well. So if I just grow this tree like this to demonstrate, and then I flip this, had to lengthen the pole in the back there as well. So we have to wait for it to cut through both of the bottom blocks here. And that was a little loud, but you get the idea. That cuts all the way through. Then we reset it back. If we open this, we got a bunch of logs and saplings in here now. That is how I made all that charcoal here through smelting. So we should be good on the fuel situation for a while because of that. Which is just as well. So that about covers the stuff that's changed. Oh, I guess I also made one of these things as well to extract resin, because we were going to need some rubber. So, what I can kind of do here to turn the rubber into resin is this thing as well. Of course, we got to get rid of the depot. That needs to be a basin. So, I'll go grab one of those real quick. Okay, so place a basin down, and if we fill this basin with resin, this will automatically start making the resin into rubber. We get 4 pieces of rubber per bucket of resin. So we're able to just keep working on this as we go. And then we can take that out, and now we got 4 pieces of rubber, which we can smelt into the cured rubber and then use for various things like the belts, the mechanical belts and stuff. I will have to set up another one of these generator things by the time the episode's out, I think. Or maybe not, because the thing we're going to be building off in that area, which is going to be a kelp farm, by the way, that is already has a power source. It's powered by the wind, another windmill, only a lot bigger than that one. So, now the farm itself is powered by that. We might be able to plug in a mechanical belt feed into that so that we can make the conveyor belt that's supposed to bring materials out from the farm and put it in one of the chests over here. Yeah, we'll be able to have that get powered by the farm itself, I think. Through use of gearboxes and stuff. But, yes, that's the main project for today, is we want to get a kelp farm up and running. Because kelp, as you know in this mod pack, is very important, as we need it in order to make andesite alloy, which is used for quite a few things early game here. Here, it's one of the materials that we need. I've had to grab quite an awful lot of kelp, actually, already, because, of course, since it's needed for so many things, I needed a bunch of andesite alloys, which craft all kinds of machines in order to even make the farm. Which, this is a bunch of materials here. This is actually 2 machines, one of which will hopefully help us with lowering villager trading prices in the future as well. But a lot of the stuff on these top 2 rows and all of this glass, that is all... It's everything before the blaze burner. This blaze burner marks the beginning of a different machine. But everything that came before it, this is the whole kelp farm completely packed down here. Now, there might be a few blocks that I have a few too many of, but this is the basic thing here. We're going to have to fill it with water manually, as well as kelp, because this cannon's very glitchy if you try to have it place kelp, and it just doesn't place liquids. So, yeah, it doesn't quite work very well if you try to have this place kelp. I tested that in creative mode, and found that out the hard way. It was really glitchy. So, we're not going to be doing that on here, so we just need to fill it manually. This is where this hose pulley is going to come in later. But first of all, we got to build this thing. I already have the schematic positioned and everything, and all the resources there. That platform will hopefully allow me to do a time-lapse of this thing getting built. Because I could not figure out for the life of me how to get the replay mod to work in this mod pack. So, yeah. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to run up to the top of that as soon as I start this thing going. We'll probably miss part of it getting built, but it's the only way I can think of to do a time-lapse in this thing. So, yeah. I should make sure this thing's full of gunpowder as well before we do that. Just give it another top-up real quick here. Put in a couple more pieces of gunpowder. That should work, hopefully. Okay, yeah, that should be plenty of shots to build this, I think. I'll fill it all the way up. But, yeah. So, if all goes according to plan, there should be a time-lapse of that getting built rather soon. I'll have to set it to day, and I'll finish filling that thing up. But, then we'll get started with that. And I'll be back when it's concluded so we can start filling that thing full of water. Okay, hopefully that time-lapse came out decently enjoyably. Now, one more thing to do if we don't want to have to climb all the way up to that chest once we get this thing going. That I wanted to make sure that we install it here. Which requires that we break that. I got some more glass smelting to fill that hole in with later after we start this thing moving. Because these will actually clip through blocks just fine, so what we're going to do is we're going to right-click that with some super glue, which almost got completely broken by building the farm, by the way. And then stick a portable storage interface to it. And we're going to put a portable storage interface not facing down. I guess I need to get more height here. Just a second. Facing like that. So these will connect together while the thing is spinning. At least that's the hope. And transfer items. So if we stick one of these on the bottom, hopefully those items will fall right out and onto this thing. Which will then allow it to just get put in the chest. Whoops. But before we can activate this thing and replace the glass, there's a few things. One, we need to hook up this conveyor belt to something. Which we actually could hook it to that thing, as the conveyor belt doesn't actually use power. And that thing's gonna, and this whole storage interface thing will just be powered by that. So I don't actually have to route it up from the windmill. If we could figure out how to attach it down here. From there. Which I think I'll probably figure out how to do that in a bit. But first, we gotta fill this thing up. Probably gonna work from the bottom up, I think. I need a trap door so that we'll be able to get underneath the bar in the middle as well. So, just a second while I locate one of those. There, found the trap door. Now, hopefully all this is enough kelp to fill it up. I've got my water source, so I think we'll be good to try to fill this up. So I'll go to the top and start there, and I'm going to try to use this grappling hook again. I am not going to fall to my doom this time. Hopefully. Ah! There. Now that worked out well. So I'm just going to go here and we'll work our way back up from the bottom. Yep. We probably want to do something about those as well. Yeah, we don't want those lily pad things. So, step 1, fill this thing up with source blocks. There, I think that's this entire side done with. Now, we put that there, flip it, go underneath, and then get stuck. Whoops. Now we'll be able to swim back to the other side here. Start under that. Put that back. Okay. Next thing to do is we plant the kelp. That way we can breathe and not risk drowning while we're planting this. And then we'll fill in the next layer up with water. And then we'll need to go up to the next floor. And then do the same thing all the way up. So I may just cut most of this out, actually. Okay, now the kelp is in place. I hope. Hopefully I didn't miss any spots, but looks good to me. The only thing left to do was probably to turn this thing on. Oh, I gotta get a glass, I gotta get a glass block ready if I don't want this thing to leak as well. So, got that now. So, only one thing left to do. We need to turn this thing on and then place the glass there so that we can patch the leak that's gonna form when it starts moving. And then we'll just leave it running forever, I think. So, we gotta swim under here. Oh boy. I think that block there is in the way. I think it's covering things up. Yeah, it was right there. Empty hand. Oh boy, that's a big lag. Wow, this thing's quite the lag machine. But it is working, it looks like. Maybe. Okay, this andesite funnel is not actually extracting the blocks. We need something different than that. Place it there. Tumbling down. There we go. That's much better. Yeah, this is producing it nice and quick. Okay, now there's one more thing we can do with the chute, and I think I would like to do it because I like it better. It's just an aesthetic thing, but if we right-click it with a wrench... Now we got glass in the chute, and we can see the kelp actually coming down it. This is a nice touch, I think. This farm is working quite well, it looks like. So, perfect. It's also quite laggy, but, man. Yeah, that is definitely at the top now, that needle. So, we're definitely not attaching anything else to this thing. That's for certain. And maybe we don't want to leave this thing running all the time, actually. Of course, that will keep destroying that block of glass, then. So... we might want to do if we are not going to actually leave it running 100% of the time. There, now the water will just flow out in front there when the thing's running. Otherwise, it'll be blocked up by the thing being stopped right there. Perfect. That should work nicely. And I actually ended up not using that hose pulley thing to fill this up with. But, no matter, we'll be using that for other things in the future. Mainly so that we can, like, transport liquids and stuff in, rivers and stuff. That's the only way that we'll be able to do that because of the way the hose pulley works, so... stay tuned for that when I actually have a liquid that needs transport. I guess technically we do have a liquid that needs transport to somewhere. Now that we have this resin, it would be nice to have an automatic system that pumps the resin out of that and moves it over somewhere else. Through pipes, though. I think resin's only going to travel through pipes. It's not one of the placeable liquids that I can actually try to make a river out of, but we will get to that at some point. Speaking of liquids, though, there's another machine that I wanted to have us construct today. Which this thing's causing all kinds of lag, so I think I'm gonna turn it off, but... Oh yeah, look at that amount of kelp. I might actually need to turn this thing into a double chest soon. So, we're definitely good on kelp. The next main thing for automation of andesite alloys, I think, is gonna be, we need to do something about this. We need to get all the sand to be processed into clay somewhere else, but that'll be for in the future. Right now I want to take advantage of villagers a bit more, and we need to set up a brewing setup for that. Which is what the next machine is. Let me turn this thing off if I can find the thingy. There. Oh wow, that thing really does cause quite the lag spike when it's running. Set it to day, and then we'll get the cannon to build the other system. Of course, we're gonna need another power source in order to actually run the system, because this one's completely stressed. The conveyor belts don't add much stress to it, but the other mechanisms that this machine we're about to build need to work will overstress the system, I think. So we need a better system in place. Or just another one. Not sure about a better one, but we certainly need another one. We grab this schematic. Yeah, that's the machine positioned there. I'll show it more once it's been built. Just make sure there's nothing obstructing where this is going to go. Okay, good. Of course, we're going to need to supply this with glass bottles for it to work as well. Let's get this thing built then. Alright, I took all the chests out of here. Whoops. There we go. And that's that. I think it kept the item filter and everything. Okay, good. Now, the only thing left to do is we need to attach power to one of these somewhere. And then kind of figure out what's going on where. Trying to remember where I had the power connected the last time here. To make it go the right direction round. We can always install one of those redstone-powered things if we have to. I'll get the power hooked up to this thing and I'll be back in a second. I'll also get some glass bottles so we can hopefully give this thing a test. We also need to fill this with water. Okay, I've got this thing fired up. This doesn't look that terrible, I don't think. Had to go ahead and do a little bit of fancy wiring around this thing because my testing didn't prepare me for this thing to be overstressed. So, which is what kept happening. But I think we're ready to test this thing. Can it brew weakness potions so that we can try getting better deals from our villagers in this? So, everything looks set up correctly. It saved the item filter, so we feed him some charcoal, and then we put that in there, and that in there. think we'll be good. Okay, it's definitely doing something there. Doing it again, putting in the splash potion part. And getting pumped into there. Yes! And doing it this way gives us 4 per brewtion. It gives us 4 per potion brewing. Yeah. So that will be useful. The only thing left to do for that is gonna be getting a zombie and stuff, but that's vanilla Minecraft stuff. I'll do all of that off camera at some point. It's to help me out a bit behind the scenes here. This also means we could put anything else in here for potion brewing ingredients, and it would brew them. So, yeah. Semi-automatic potion brewer thing. And it gives us 4 instead of... Yeah, it gives us 4 per time instead of the other one. Now, of course, we would have to swap out that item filter for other types of potions if we wanted to do any of that. But beyond that, I think this will do for now. The one thing that I will need more of is spider eyes. I suppose maybe there's some hidden recipe for those in here. Might as well check. So we can make spider eyes out of that drop. Now we can buy them with the trade station once we're able to get that. And assemble them with that. How do you make one of these again? Ah, right. We need to go on to the next part of that. For that to work out. And you really do need spider eyes in order for that to do anything. Do I have any more of those legs? I'd kind of like to brew a little bit more of a potion. I got 1. I need to kill more spiders in order for that to work out. But we got 4 to begin with. Should be plenty for now. The thing is full. So that will be the next thing to automate, probably. Be sucking that into there. After we take care of this situation here, with the sand and all of that. We have the kelp more than figured out now after that farm, though. So that should work well, then. How close to being stressed is that thing, actually? Let's see. Okay, give me a second here. I can totally do that. Okay, let's see. How stressed is this thing? Ooh. Pretty well stressed, actually. So we probably can't really run this into anything else, this power generator. Unfortunately. Because it's already powering too much. It's because that thing needs so much power to spin at that speed, I think. Does mean, I suppose, if we needed to do more with the station, we could just disconnect that. If we need more power. But I think that'll just about do it for today. We got this kelp farm going. The next thing we need to do before we can get full production of the andesite alloy, for the most part, is we need to be turning all the sand into clay, or have a machine capable of doing that. So that'll probably be for the next episode. I'll have that. I should also expand this factory floor a bit, because things are getting to the point where they might not all fit rather soon. So I'll get to doing that off camera as well. And, well, I think that would just about do it for today's episode then. So, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider giving it a like. If you really loved it, consider subscribing. And, well, that's about it for me for today. So, my name is Hobug9, and so long till next time.